It's a difficult one. I always say, for me, I find that your work speaks for itself. So if you are consistent in the quality output or in the quality of your work and what you produce, people will naturally respect you. So focus on doing the right things at the right times. And also, I always say to our portfolio managers who are female, who are starting out, or a PRC, project review consultant who works at a site, the first time, second time, third time you go into a site and you're uncomfortable, don't feel shy to ask a male colleague to go with you. Doesn't make you small. It just means you are just being cautious and taking a little bit of security to ask a colleague to say, can you go with me to a site, to this site for the first? Because after the third or so time, you've now developed your own rhythm in that site and they know you, and then you can go on your own. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with taking extra precaution. But I find that sometimes, women think, but it makes me look weak. I'm now looking like I'm asking for security. That's fine. You are asking for security. Ask for it. Ask your male colleagues to accompany you. And most times the male colleagues are willing to say, okay, fine, I'll go with you for that site inspection. So so for me, it's about just remaining real in being the fact that you are female. So if you are afraid, you are afraid. Ask for help. But also ensure that your work speaks for itself. I always find nothing gives you respect and gives you respect quicker than when your work and the quality of your work is consistent, it's dependable, and people can rely on your output.
Yeah. So how do you see the role of corporate social responsibility evolving in the industry?
That topic is a difficult one, in that I think that organizations do it sometimes for Mandela Day type of.
I feel like it is for Mandela Day. Yeah.
For soup kitchen activities, etc. I don't think that's what it was meant for. I don't think social corporate responsibility is for you showing up in a community and giving shoes once a year or giving sanitary pads once a year. I think it's about your investment in that community. So for us, yes, we do have a CSI program where we go and fund a school in an area where we finance, or fund a youth program in a school, in an area where we finance. But I think the real impact, the real social responsibility or social investment of our company is in the fact that we invest in underserved and underfunded communities and underbanked entrepreneurs. Because that's where the real impact is, where your actual job is about changing the community where you're funding.
So looking at the next 5 to 10 years and looking at entrepreneurs that are in the property space, where do you think the space is headed? When you look at what it looks like now and what it could be in the next 5 to 10 years, especially for entrepreneurs that are starting out in the property industry?
Yeah, I think that is going to be an interesting space of less of these mega developments. One big developer coming and building 400 units. I think we're going to see more and more competition, which is healthy for local economic development, where we have 100 entrepreneurs doing 5 different small projects. And when those are put together, they become big. So if you come, you do your 10, I do my 5, she does her 20, he does his 50. The competition and the quality of those will be much better in my view, because then there are more players in the space, which means tenants have more choice, which forces all the players to keep innovating and pushing their game, but also brings in more people to be involved in long-term asset building, because property is the only, at least maybe I'm biased because I'm in the property space, is the only asset I know that's tangible, that you can touch, that your daughter in 20 years can go and touch that building and say, this is my dad's property. It appreciates in value if you take care of it. If obviously you have your compliances in place, you insure it, you service your fire equipment every year as needed. You ensure that, cracks are attended to that you move it with the times, it can give you the returns over time. And I think if we can see more people, especially in inner cities and townships or in underserved communities, being involved in property, I think that it will be an exciting space.
Okay. So, okay, we'll pause a little bit. Okay, done. So, with the challenges that South Africa faces economically, right? How do you see TAF's role evolving in the future to continue to support entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I don't know if we can do anything differently from what we already do. We believe that macroeconomic growth, so growth at a national level, South Africa to be able as a country to grow economically, you need to do things sustainably at a local level. And that's where we play. We play at very micro levels with developers, as I say, doing small developments, many of them being able to, develop 10 units, 5 units, 20 units, shops at the bottom. Some are now starting to put offices on the first floor, residential on the second floor, and retail on the ground floor, mixed use developments at a local level. I think it's the only answer to get macroeconomic growth. You can't get growth here if it's not happening here at a local level. So I think that if we support in our communities, and it's very slow, it's very thankless, you don't see it. I mean, in this country, we like big projects, Cosmos City, Sky City, they'll say I don't know how many units are in Sky City. Nothing wrong with those developments. They're interesting and attractive. Government will go there and make a fuss. There's a big development that has come. They never actually pay attention to the efforts happening at a micro level that actually have more impact. I always make the point, we are as old as the social housing program, TAF, in South Africa, because we started in about 2003. I think social housing started maybe a year before that as a program. And we have developed about 50,000 units with our micro developers, financed 50,000 units. Social housing is sitting at about what? Maybe 28, 30,000. I can't remember.
Double the work, double the effort.
Almost.
Yes.
But ours, because it's with many micro developers doing small projects, it's not easy to see. But it's easy to see a social housing development that has 300 units there and 400 there or 1,000 there because it seems big. But if you put it together, it's actually smaller impact compared. So I'm not saying social housing is bad. I think it's necessary. And I always make the point to Shra, for instance, to say the one impact that they're going to be able to make is if they start coming to inner cities to regenerate inner cities. Use the existing infrastructure in inner cities and bring social housing in inner cities at scale. But obviously, sometimes it's easier to do greenfields at the outskirts of the city and people now have to commute for a cost from those back to the city. So if we can get a balance between that investment in the outskirts and bring a lot more of it closer to the center, I think between private sector and government efforts, we can actually do much more.
So we're drawing to a close, but there's something I've noticed about you. You're very grounded. And it makes me wonder, what are the core values that have driven you and that continue